5 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m., it is finally Friday, April 5th, 2019, 39 degrees outside, and want to welcome you to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. Shane Metalvin on the line, half man, half amazing, in Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eaglehoff in your studio downtown Bozeman, and we want to welcome everyone this morning. Thanks for spending your morning with us. And how you doing, Shane?
Wow, it's incredible. We're back. We're global again.
Yeah.
We're truly international.
Yeah,
I'd like to see the man flies freely again.
Yeah, day by day, our technical difficulties get a little better. We can now see each other again. So
yeah, I can see. I haven't seen you 5 days. I didn't recognize you.
I know. Yeah, it's like a different person. So yeah, we should go a little smoother. It works better when we can see each other because we can do break signs and things like that. We got somebody on the phone, and all that.
Signal.
Yeah, all
signal.
that. Yeah. We're like the baseball manager in the dugout. Nose, ears, hat.
Yeah, and I'm just the guy. I'm just the manager at first base. I'm not a player. Okay?
Right? Yeah, you're the first base coach. All right. Yeah. Well, let's take a look at our Gallatin Valley weather as we do every day. 49 degrees is going to be our high today. We are looking for some showers periodically through the day, maybe a tenth of an inch or something like that, maybe. Not much precip, just enough to kind of get the grass growing and, the tulips popping and whatever else is out there. And 33 will be the overnight low. Showers again tomorrow on Saturday, 51 the high. Hey, don't forget about Kitabaloo tomorrow. 10 to 3. Got the Brick Breeding Field House. Take the kids out there. Have a great time. And why not? Go inside Brick Breeding. It's going to be raining on and off. So go out there and have a good time. Enjoy yourself. Yeah.
Do some flossing.
Yeah. Sunday, it's going to be a little warmer, 55 degrees, 38 the overnight low. The rain leaves, but it will be cloudy, and then the rain comes back on Monday. 46 will be the high, 33 the overnight low, and about a quarter inch of rain expected there. And maybe some snow by Wednesday, but less than an inch, although they are predicting 3 to 5 inches of either rain or snow on Tuesday, so with a high of 42. So I would look for that to disappear between now and then. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think everybody would else like it not to show up.
Yeah,
don't show up.
We don't need 3 to 5 inches of rain, that's for sure.
No.
We've gotten rid of a lot of our snow, though, so that is a good thing. Temperatures around the area right now. Livingston is 40 degrees. Manhattan is 39. Three Forks is 42. Gallatin Gateway is 38 degrees right now. Ennis is 39. Gardner is 40. And at the airport in wherever the airport is, Belgrade, 38 degrees. And we're right at 39 degrees here. So we are leading the pack, Shane. So pretty exciting morning going. Coming up at the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to have Tim Fox is going to be in here. He won't be in here. He's going to be on the phone. And we're going to be talking about robocalls and some other things. So we'll be chatting with him. Jennifer Bordy is off today. So we'll have open lines all morning long. So
there you go. We're all here.
Yeah, we're here ready to go. Well, I want to ask the listeners at this time, Shane, this time of day, I guess. We always do the day in history. And I'm curious as to whether people like the day in history that we do. Do they like it? Do they not like it? Give us a call, give us a text at 522-TALK or 478-8298. And, if you don't like this segment, then we'll do something else. If you do like it, we'll keep doing it, So let us know because we're guessing at what you want to hear. But, history is kind of interesting sometimes. And, Shane kind of does a little deep dive on some of it to give you a little more history than what just the little blurb is. So if that's interesting, entertaining, or whatever, we'd like to know. So as I say, let us know on our text line or on the phone. Well, in 1641, Elizabeth Warren, daughter of the leader of the Powhatan tribe, married English colonist John Rolfe in Virginia. Oh, wait, that's not Elizabeth Warren. That was Pocahontas that did that, right?
That was Pocahontas.
I get them confused. I get the two confused, But, yeah, she was the daughter of the leader of the Powhatan tribe, and she married English colonist John Rolfe in Virginia. And
that's right.
In 1641. I mean, the Pilgrims hadn't even landed yet.
She was born Matoaka, and known as Amanut, as she grew up in her tribe. Mm-hmm. And she was famed, as you said, because she saved colonist John Smith in 1607 from being executed by her father. She placed her head in between her father's club and his, for which obviously he was very grateful. Mm-hmm. She then was captured by the colonists who were there to save John Smith. She learned English, became converted to Christianity, and they named her Rebecca. And the single reason she's so thought of, she was not very old. She went to England in 1660 and was presented to English society, which embraced her because she was from, she was like the first Indian from really the New World that anyone personally got to know because she could speak English. Mm-hmm. And regrettably, at 20, she died, 20 or 21, leaving England. And she's actually born in England in St. George's Church, Ravensend, England.
Wow.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Bet you didn't know she was buried in England, did you?
I had no idea she was buried in England. So.
Now you have to go all the way to England to visit her grave.
Wow. I wonder if Elizabeth Warren's been there.
Probably. She wanted to check to see if she looked anything like her.
1792, George Washington cast the first presidential veto, rejecting a congressional measure for apportioning representatives among the states. And I thought that was part of the Constitution that we eventually... isn't that what our representatives are based on, the apportionment of the state? But he vetoed that, and did they override the veto?
No, they did not. Or yes, they did, rather.
I was going to say, they must have.
April 5th, 1792, he vetoed the Appointment Act on constitutional grounds, which was overridden. And then February 28th, 1797. Wow, can you imagine? That was like 5 years later.
Yeah.
The bill you're talking about. Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I wonder what his reason was for not having representatives based on the number of people in the states. So,
I didn't go that deep into it. I guess I could.
I don't know. I'm just. It doesn't seem like him from history.
Yeah. Let's see.
Anyway, it's not a big deal. I was just curious.
Yeah. It was the Appointment Act. It was April 10th. It was the act set the number of members of the United States House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. Oh, he wanted to make sure it was based upon population properly, and he said a census hadn't been done yet to determine that.
Oh, okay. So, and it may have been slaves at the time too. There could have been.
That's right.
Could have been an issue as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, 1856, black educator Booker T. Washington was born in Franklin County, Virginia. He was quite a guy, did a lot of stuff.
Sure did. He was educated and learned to read as a young man and on his own, and with the help actually of one of the house people, one of the people working in the house. And yeah, he did some great things, wrote some great books, and was very involved in the early 1900s and fought the Jim Crow laws, in Reconstruction South the Democrats had set up, and so he became very famous in the North because of his work, to protect the disenfranchised African Americans in the South because of the Jim Crow laws.
Yeah. 1895, playwright Oscar Wilde lost his criminal liability case against the
Marquis, buddy.
Marquis of Queensberry.
That's English French.
Marquis, that's right. Yeah. same people that made the boxing rules, I guess, huh?
And as a result of that, he was put on trial and convicted of being a homosexual and put in prison.
I know you couldn't do that stuff back then. So, but particularly not when the Marquis of Queensberry was around.
Right, that's right.
He's not putting up with any of that. So.
No, but it's a sad commentary because he was such a remarkable writer.
Oh yeah, no, he was. Yeah, lots of great writings and stuff. Right. Yeah. 1908, actress Bette Davis was born in Lowell, Massachusetts. Yeah.
What a movie star! Both in she's one that transitioned from the whitey or the silent movies
to the
to the talkies. Yeah.
Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Very good, Thomas. All right.
1951, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were sentenced to death for conspiring to commit espionage for the Soviet Union. And
you may want to know why. Julius joined the Army Signal Corps engineering laboratories at Fort Monmouth. I can't pronounce that right.
I don't know.
In 1940, anyway, he worked as an engineer inspector until 1945, but he did a lot of damage to the United States. He was converted to a spy by the famous spymaster Semyon Semyonov in 1942 when the U.S. and Russia were allies in the fight against the Nazis in World War II. Yeah. So they both hung because she came up with the idea of the pumpkin patch.
Oh, okay.
I went and actually looked this up. Yeah, honey, we're going to hide the film in the pumpkin patch.
Okay. Well, there you are. Sounds like a good deal. Well, in 1976, reclusive billionaire Howard Hughes died at the age of 72. Pretty remarkable guy that just lived above government, lived above everything. Was subpoenaed to the Congress I don't know how many times and didn't show.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody went to Las Vegas to break down his doors and bring him in. And he had five Mormon guys that kind of took care of him or whatever that were 24/7. That was their whole. That was their entire existence, was just taking care of him.
That's right. Towards the end of his life, and it's an amazing story because he inherited Hughes' drilling from his father. His father invented the drill bit.
Okay.
And the circular drill bit which changed drilling forever, and they patented it and kept adapting it so they could repatent it. So he had this huge cash flow because of the oil industry.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, he used it to invest in other things, as we all know. But the great thing about him is he was a bagman for the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
And because of all the government contracts that he developed because of his work with airplanes, because he started Hughes Aircraft Company in 1932, loved to fly, crashed, as we all know, saw the movie.
Yep.
But the great thing was that he was the bagman for the CIA. So he set up Costa Rica for a place for the black ops to retire to, and he arranged for all the monies to be paid offshore to all the black ops for the U.S. government and the CIA. Quite an interesting guy. He was pretty amazing.
All right. Well, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Fox News and Charlton Heston and mine explosion and all kinds of other stuff. So stay tuned. We'll be right back in 1 minute and 13 seconds. 20 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It's Friday, April 5th, 2019. Finally Friday, 40 degrees outside. We're looking for a high of 49 today. Shaman Tobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Half man, half amazing. Tommy Goloff, your morning mayor in the house. Coming up at the 8 o'clock hour on the Morning Soapbox. Attorney General. I couldn't decide whether to say Attorney General or candidate for governor. Gubernatorial candidate Tim Fox is going to join us at the 8 o'clock hour. They are making a stand or trying to in Washington on robocalls, so we want to get up to speed on what's going on with that legislation and how it's going and whatever. But back to our back to our this day in history. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on this date, 1984, became the highest scoring player in NBA history, 34,421 career points. And since he played in other leagues, he played with the Harlem Globetrotters professionally for a while, and he played with some other non-NBA teams. So his actual career record is 38,387 points, and also the only man so far to score 100 points in a basketball game. So,
wow, what a talent!
And I met him.
Wow, did you really?
I did. I got his autograph. Yeah.
Boy, I bet you looked right into his eyes. You were so tall.
I did. Yeah. He was he is giant size, but no, my older brother played at the University of Missouri when he played Kansas, and my brother, my older brother, played against him, and of course we went to the game, and my sister-in-law was so upset that he was sitting in the stands before the game, waiting to go get dressed for the game, and I went over and got his autograph, and she was so mad at me.
Wow!
But it was really fun.
I mean, you met him in college before he was even a pro.
Oh yeah, no, I knew he was going to be. I know he was going to be amazing. But it was so funny. We were, there were big bleachers on both sides of the court.
Sure.
And we were sitting on one side, obviously, but when we looked across the way, every head was turned toward the Kansas end, watching him warm up, watching him take shots and whatever, because, gosh, I think of that day, if you were 6'6" or 6'7", you were a center or whatever. This guy was 7'2", and was a tremendous athlete. And, I mean, he was pretty amazing at the time. In fact, he's one of the few people that changed the actual rules of basketball because they widened the keystone. It used to be narrow, and they had to widen it out because he would just park under there. so he's a guy that actually changed the rules of basketball. Pretty impressive guy. But man, he was so big. It was. I don't know, man. I've met some tall people in my time. I played with guys in college that were 6'11", 6'10", and whatever, and they're certainly right up there. But yeah, this guy was the most imposing figure. I remember he came out. He had this long black top coat on. I don't know. I don't know how the hell anybody. Certainly didn't buy it off the rack.
Yeah, no, of course not.
But I mean, man, he looked like the Grim Reaper.
There you are, man. What a cool thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
that's the kind of thing that you get. It's a forever moment. Right?
Oh yeah, no, I'll never forget that. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. And then of course he went on to an amazing career and. In basketball, played for various teams and did quite well for himself. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. 1987 on this date, guess what? Fox Broadcasting made its primetime TV debut in 1987. Wow.
Amazing story. Here's a guy named Rupert Murdoch. He was a paperman in Australia, bought a bunch of small papers.
Yeah. Became
a newspaper magnate there, moved to the U.S. in the early 80s. Bought the 21st Century Fox studio, and then from there he went out and there was a lot of problems with the television industry at the time, so he started buying up some television stations.
Right.
And the networks got really upset, so their lobbyists went and Congress said, "Oh, you have to be an American to own
own broadcasting." Yeah.
So Robert Murdoch said, "Fine, I'll become an American." So he did, and then kabam! Along came Fox Television.
Yeah.
The amazing thing is, folks, is in 25 years, he turned this into such a powerhouse that 16 days ago, on March 19th, 2019, he reestablished Fox and the TV network he owns, having sold the 21st Century Fox to Disney for $71 billion in Disney stock.
Whoa!
Which we've talked about.
Yeah, big bucks. Wow.
Big bucks, making his family and the people that will inherit it, because he's quite elder.
Yeah.
I think he's in his 90s actually. Anyway, they 39% voting power of Disney. How cool is that?
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. On this date in 2008, actor Charlton Heston died at the age of 84, known for many religious movies, head of the NRA for a few years. Yeah. Take my gun when you pry it from my cold, dead fingers.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
Planet of the Apes, all of that stuff. Yeah.
Soylent Green. Remember Soylent Green? Oh, my goodness gracious.
Soylent Green is people.
There you go. Yeah.
In 2010, on this date, an explosion at the Upper Big Branch mine near Charleston, West Virginia, killed 29 workers. Quite a disaster in that area, and that kind of started some of the people wondering, do we really need coal? And alternative fuels kind of got a boost from that. And the same year, in a televised rescue, 115 Chinese coal miners were freed after spending 8 days trapped in a flooded mine, surviving an accident that had killed 38 there. So two mine accidents in the same year, with coal being the common denominator, kind of was historic in making coal and people getting excited about alternative fuels. They were already excited about them, but but up till then, This was fuel for the fire.
That's right. Well put.
Yeah. Well, I don't see anybody particularly that we need to know about that was born on this date. They're pretty lackluster people. We already mentioned Betty Davis and Booker T. Washington are the
That's right.
only two that I really even know.
You even know.
Not that I'm not that.
Oh, you mean you're telling us you met them in high school too?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I met Betty Davis, and we went to high school together. Yeah, but I don't know. There's a lot of folks in this line here, but not many of them that I'm familiar with. So I don't know. I guess the one. Alua Yale, born an English merchant and a benefactor of Yale University. I guess we could talk about him. He was born on this date, died at the age of 72. But he's the only one I can think of that warrants morning soapbox accolades.
Well, probably another Gilded Age philanthropist that did something wonderful and started a university in the United States. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll be back right after the news at the bottom of the hour. Still no Brooke Foster weather. We're up except for email, so I can't get Brooke's weather, but we will go on without it. And we're still a few things here that aren't working, but at least we're on the air. I think our phone's working. I think the stream is working. So hopefully we're close to back to normal. So we'll be back right after the news. 27 minutes for the top of the hour, Friday, April 5th, 2019, 39 degrees outside, looking for a high in the low 40s today. Shane Matavin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox. And, the job report coming out this morning, they are expected to show that the economy had 175,000 jobs, better than the 20,000 in February, huh?
That's right, yeah.
And they expect that unemployment will stay at 3.8.
Yeah, but the important thing is the economy is still growing, because a lot of economies in the world aren't.
That's true.
It's nothing could say it.
Well, the Chinese markets are closed today, so we're not sure what's going on with them. But the others, everything else should be open as we look through the news of the day here, I guess I should say. So kind of interesting that the job report at least came back. Rebounded from a pretty nasty February, so
it did, and February is historically known as a down month. It really is.
Well, yeah, it's it's after Christmas, and it's you get the New Year's out of the way, and the Super Bowl, and all the other things that go on in January. And then it's kind of, you're waiting for baseball season to start, and hockey, who cares? And,
and your credit card bills from Christmas and New Year.
That's right, start hitting. So, yeah, you're kind of I've said this for years. We need a 3-day weekend. So we don't have one till Memorial Day in May.
Exactly.
I mean, come on, 6 months or 5 months into the year, we don't have a 3-day holiday. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think the banks get Arbor Day off, or whatever. But
yeah, just what you need, Tom. Another federal holiday for them to take off. That's
we need a Tom and Shane federal holiday. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll go with that.
Yeah, right. We need that for sure. So.
With pay.
With pay, of course. Yeah. Well, yeah, it should be a day off with pay. So, well, I don't know. Anyway, in our news today, lots happening. The Gallatin High mascot. We got a name for the school, the Gallatin High School. What an exciting name that is, huh? The Gallatin High School, named after the old original high school, for those of you who haven't been here for a long time. But it's where Wilson School is now, or where the apartments are, I guess, was the high school part. But anyway, so now they've got... people responded 1,570 times to the mascots. So, well, they've got some good ones, and they've got some pretty lame ones, I think, Shane. We can go through some of them. The Cougars, the Mountaineers, the Rams, the Raptors, the Trout, the Wolverines, and wow. The Anglers, the Avalanche, the Badgers, the Blizzard, the Coyotes, the Elk, the Explorers, the Geysers, Highlanders, Lightning, Mountain Goats, Osprey, Raptors with a bird logo, or Raptors with a dinosaur logo, Ravens, Storm, Timberwolves, and Yetis. So there you are.
Well, George Washington College in Washington, D.C., benefactor George Washington, they want to change the name of their mascots from the colonists. Can you imagine? Wow. So you got to make sure it's politically correct, Tom. So
right. There you go. I got to get it right. Yeah. From our text line, 478-8298, we were talking about Oscar Wilde earlier, who went on trial for homosexual practices in England, and was jailed. And one of our text line says, Oscar Wilde repented of his ways on his deathbed. So we can put that down. And let's see, from regarding the jobs report from our text line, 478-8298, I think we added 175,000 jobs in Montana just for snow removal. Actually, in February, I would agree with that. We got 27 inches of snow, and every morning on the way into the station, there's all the flashing lights on all the pickup trucks clearing every parking lot in town. Every roadway and corner, yeah. Yeah, there they are. So, yeah, I would agree with that texture. We probably did add 175,000 jobs to it. We've also got, what colors are we going to use? Well, we got black and light blue. We got black and royal blue. We got black and silver, black and white. We got royal blue and orange, navy blue and orange, light blue and purple, royal blue and purple, royal blue and red, navy blue and red, or orange and gray. So.
Wow, why not just red, white, and blue?
I don't know. That'd be my choice. What's the deal there? So,
well, it's got to be blue because of the big sky. Some color of blue because of the big sky.
Well,
right?
I would think so. Yeah, I would think you got to have some kind of blue in there. So, although and also you'd want to have them as far away from the Hawks, red and black, as you could get, because you don't want you don't want to have the other side of town having similar colors. So,
well, I like the powder blue on the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah,
that color blue is really nice.
It is nice. Yeah, that's a good blue. Yeah. Well, the state budget bill is moving quickly through the Montana legislature. We'll be talking with Scott Sales and Steve White about that on Monday. And thanks to a healthy revenue stream compared with the previous session's shortfall, though there is a disagreement between the governor and legislative leaders over how much extra cash should be kept in reserve. The bill that authorizes spending about $10.3 billion was endorsed for the Senate 27 to 22 on Thursday. With a few amendments, it was passed to the House 2 weeks ago. It still needs a final vote in the Senate before it goes back to the House again. So Senate Minority Leader John Sesko said this year that this year's budget bill is probably in as good a shape as we've seen in recent years. So that's good news, Shane, that hopefully that will work out. And so the budget bill supported by the Republican majority has about $210 million surplus, while the Democratic Steve Bullock said Wednesday he would rather have a $300 million cushion or access to $300 million. And I don't know how much you keep in reserve for a state like ours.
Well, I think the biggest concern you have in a state like yours is forest fires, right? So you got to keep it in reserve for that.
Yeah, that's our big. You never know what's going to happen with those things.
Of course, in the wintertime, an avalanche that closes a highway or damages a river. Because those are the kinds of things that are unexpected events. So it's the unexpected, an earthquake. It's not that like the federal government isn't going to come in and help, but you need to be able to help your people as well, right? And things happen, and mostly I think that's what should be the key. I mean, if Yellowstone Park goes, if Jellystone Park goes, it really doesn't matter, right?
No. No,
you won't recover from that.
I was going to say I don't think the rebroadcast of that show will happen.
No, that's good. It will somewhere from space.
Well, probably, yeah. It'll have to be somewhere else. So, well, as we mentioned before, Scott Kelly, the astronaut, was at MSU. He was a clueless 18-year-old college freshman going nowhere in school when he stumbled on the Thomas Wolfe's The Right Stuff book of fighter pilots and said, hey, that's what I want to do. So there you are. You never know. You never know what inspiration is going to strike, Shane. That's
or what book may change your mind.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty exciting. Well, we don't have a break at 40, so there you go. We'll just keep right on rocking and rolling. So
wow, it's like Saturday.
I know, it is like Saturday. And we only got a 90-second break at 50, so we'll keep right on trekking along here. But, the astronaut program, boy, when that started, a lot of kids just who had no interest in science at all of a sudden, boom.
Yes.
Engineering. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That too. Yeah. And here we come. And as
and I was just going to say, NASA as an institute has the largest number of patents of any corporation or any other industry in the world.
Oh yeah. Well, you look at all the things you've got handheld now. Little calculators, your cell phone, the face of your cell phone, all those things came from the space program in some form or other. And, we've often said there's more computing power in your cell phone than what they used to go to the moon. So.
And the mobile wheelchair, if it wasn't for all the micro engineering they did to build rovers for the moon, a lot of handicapped people today wouldn't be able to motorize around.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And of course, we've always pointed out, how would you like to be sitting on top of 50 million parts made by the lowest bidder?
Great line.
I don't know if I want to do that or not.
But it's so amazing. In the early 60s, the first astronauts announced were rock stars. Remember, they had parades.
Oh,
everybody
was. Well, when I was in right out of high school, I think, or somewhere between high school and college, I think, there were some friends of mine that worked at the McDonnell Douglas over in St. Louis, and they were working on the Mercury space program, which is a pre-runner to Apollo. And of course, we were all working on our cars then, so they would bring all this $1,000 an inch wire. We could wire up our cars with. We had lights inside, the colored lights, and the reverb radio and all that stuff. romantic interior of the vehicle to
That's right.
put the ladies in the mood, so to speak.
Of course.
It was. I mean, we had top quality stuff there. They would walk out with all this equipment and stuff from McDonald's. We'd stick it in our car, so it was quite a...
Yeah, I remember. Turn out the lights, dear. Close the car door.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let's see. Some other things happening. The Grizzly panel is going to review conflict prevention efforts. We're trying to keep grizzly bears and humans separated.
Wow, and that's a big surprise.
It is. Yeah, right. Well, regional wildlife and land managers they're going to talk about it over the next months, several months, I guess, about how best to prevent grizzly bear conflicts and reduce death tolls as the bears expand into new territory. And, of course, the run-ins with livestock and everything are increasing as well. So,
and we should remind our listeners that, the grizzly bear's natural habitat was the prairie.
Well, that's true, yeah.
They hunted buffalo. They were driven into the we drove them into the mountains.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Interagency Grizzly Bear Committee will direct a group of state and federal agency staff to review a 2009 report that included 33 separate recommendations on reducing bear conflict and deaths. My suggestion, stay out of the woods.
Exactly.
Even though we do have bears in town, but stay out of the woods.
Yeah, right. Now, do you have those metal cask dumpsters, that you have to open by hand to throw garbage away because bears can get into anything?
We haven't had much of a problem, I don't think, with having to lock dumpsters. I know some people downtown lock them because there are people that live upstairs and like to use their dumpsters to, dump their own garbage and stuff.
I know you have a bear problem at the dump site in Yellowstone Park, right?
Well, anywhere, and probably in West Yellowstone too. I would imagine they probably have locks on dumpsters and things like that. So that, they're talking about people now seeing grizzlies in their backyard. That's a little offsetting, if I were to walk out coming to the station and there's Mr. Grizzly, looking in the back window of the van. I'm going, wait a minute.
Yeah, I just remember as a kid when we'd drive to Yellowstone Park, of course we'd see all the volcanic stuff and everything. And then my dad would say, well, let's go look at the bears. The bears, yeah. And we went to the garbage dump, right?
Oh, yeah.
There would be like 24 bears in there, digging around and eating.
All right.
It was a buffet. Look, my dad goes, it's a buffet. Look.
All right. Well, that's certainly fun. Well, hopefully they can come up with something. I don't know how you're going to keep bears and people apart. I mean, they're both out there wandering around together, and sooner or later you're going to run into one. Or, even our Gallatin Pond out here on the edge of town, there was mountain lion signs up. Be careful. The mountain lions have been sighted around the area. So,
exactly.
You got to be careful of those things. And your catchphrase is catching on. Sean Hannity just put collusion delusion continues. Maxine Waters claimed Trump conspired with the Kremlin. So
next up is crazy, Gabe.
Your phrase is still hanging in there. So good job there. So that is pretty good. So we've also talked about the taxes for the House Taxation Committee. On Thursday, Gallatin County leaders were among those who requested that lawmakers help them address their infrastructure needs. Senate Bill 241, which the committee passed 17-1, would allow Montana's 10 resort areas, 2 of which are in Gallatin County, to ask voters whether to increase their local option sales tax from 3% to 4%, with the additional 1% funding infrastructure projects. So the ballot question for the tax increase would have to specify the projects for which the funds would go to be used for, and the tax increase would expire when the projects were completed. So the bill passed the Senate 33-16 in March with the approval of the House Taxation Committee, and the bill will now go to the House floor. So that'll be another one we'll be talking with Scott Sales and Steve White about on Monday, where that's going to end up. But West Yellowstone, of course, is and Big Sky are, I guess, the two resort towns in our county that would be affected by this. So, but hopefully, I don't know. I guess it has to go to the voters, probably. I would think. I don't think you can just impose a tax, but maybe you can. We'll ask Scott.
The boys on Monday. Yeah,
boys on Monday. What they think about that. And also, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Hawk Night, but what talented people we have in Bozeman at the Bozeman High School. I mean, I've been to a couple of them, and I'm just blown away by the prowess, musical prowess of some of these kids is remarkable. And they have this Hawk Night every year, and boy, they got all these talented teenagers. They got bands, they've got individual singers and dancers and all kinds of stuff, and musicians and orchestras and whatever. But
yeah, and it's sort of interesting too, because back in our day, that was part of going to school was you took choir, and you had the opportunity. Every school had a band or a little orchestra, and so a lot of this is developed privately. So that's really impressive. It's all private work on their own time and their parents' money, and that's very cool.
Yeah, it was really I've talked about my brother earlier playing against Wilt Chamberlain, and there's some pictures of my brother in grade school playing basketball, and at halftime he would come out in his uniform and sit in the band because he was in band. And he would come out and play in the band in uniform, basketball uniform. So that's the way we did it back in the day, as they say.
So let's see. In the 7th grade, when you were like 13, 14, how tall were you?
I was a freshman at 12 and 6 feet. I graduated at 17.
Boy, I bet you ruled the roost, didn't you? Come on, Tom, give it up.
I was really smart. Yeah, I hang around with the seniors because I was bigger than most of them. So
exactly.
Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hey, so Maxine Waters is saying that President Trump conspired with the Russians.
Well, that's what she thinks. Yep, she's pretty sure. The Kremlin and Trump are fast buddies.
The Mueller report hasn't even been released. They investigated him for 2 years or more.
Yep.
What is she basing this on? What is she basing it on?
She has talked impeachment from day one. She thinks he's not a legitimate president and should not be there, and she wants him gone in any way possible.
But to make these allegations, she's got to.
There's nobody she has to be responsible to.
Yeah,
that's the problem. That's the problem.
Something that would make us want to believe her. What is she basing it on?
Just her own delusion, her collusion delusion.
Delusion, baby. Because Trump has the greatest sanctions on Russia in history. Yeah. He's got the greatest sanctions on all the oligarchs and their money. They're all locked out of the U.S. banking system globally. He's interfering with their gas deal with Germany because he wants the Germans to buy from the U.S. and not them. So, all these things, all the policy that he's doing as president clearly shows he has no interest in siding. He's pulled the U.S. out of the test ban treaty because of what they're doing, the nuclear test ban treaty. Need I go on? This is why it's so important that people sort of get the opportunity to listen to Tom and I. Because the news that you get on they don't even talk about, the reasons why he wouldn't collude or be colluding. It's
no kidding.
It's very sad, Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, these folks just operate in their own little closed world, and everybody thinks that way, and they're not going to accept any other explanation, and they're just going to keep touting what they think because all their friends think that.
Yeah.
And they have no ideas.
Yeah.
I may not agree with everything that the president does, but overall, I'm very pleased with many of the things he's doing. And he gets so much grief from almost every source. Late night talk shows, TV, media, the news. And, now if you watch some regular TV shows in the evening during prime time, they're bashing the Trump, even in the script that they write.
Oh, yeah.
The comedy stuff.
Yep.
Everywhere. He's almost like Superman, the Man of Steel. I mean, I hope he doesn't fold under all this pressure.
Well, if they would take a Maya Copa for a minute,
there you go.
Then Tom's announcement would hold you. Trump's going to win re-election because what is he now, Tom?
He's a victim now.
Bingo.
Yeah.
He's a victim. Boy, you got that right.
Yeah. Well, last man standing on Friday night, Tim Allen. Yeah, that'll reinforce your conservative views. So.
Oh boy. All righty. You guys have a good day.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back in 90 seconds. 3 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Friday, April 5th, 2019, 39 degrees outside. We're looking for a high of around 49 degrees today. Shane Matavin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor in the house. And coming up at the 8 o'clock hour, we'll be talking by phone with Tim Fox. We're going to be talking about robocalls, and they're trying to get some congressional action to stop all these stupid phone calls that we get all day long from everybody. In fact, I think next week I've got 3 of these calls on our text line, which is not a voice line, but people do leave voicemails every once in a while, but we don't have a way to play them. So don't leave me a voicemail unless it's something personal or something like that. But but I do want to play some of these robocalls, and then I want to call the people.
Yeah,
I want to call them up. We'll call them up on Monday, maybe during the 7 o'clock hour, and we'll see what we can get them going or not.
I volunteer to be the bad cop.
Okay, good deal. Let's go to the phones. 522 Talk is the number. Caller, you are on the air. What's up?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, politicians are the lowest forms of life on Earth. And liberal Democrats are the lowest forms of politicians.
All right.
You know who said that?
Not Barack Obama.
No. I mean, really, seriously. No laughing involved. Think about it. World War II, and they killed him.
Oh, World War II, and they killed him. Oh,
he was
Patton, George Patton.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, to this woman's problem about all this stuff about our great president of today, turn off the frickin' TV. Go out and enjoy life.
There you are. All right. Hey, thanks for the call.
I just pulled off. I listen to your show. I don't call because I'm driving.
Yeah.
I pulled off the road just to let her know.
Okay.
Turn off the tube.
There you go. All right. Hey, thanks for pulling off and being safe. We appreciate that. Thanks for listening, too.
Right on. Bye.
All right. Take care. Thanks for the call. All right, we got to get out of here. 7 o'clock. 5 things you got to know, Shane. And we got some texts.
I'll try.
Yeah, we got some texts coming in, so we'll be chatting about those things as well. So stay tuned. We still have a lot to go. Tim Fox will be giving us a call at 8 o'clock, so we'll be chatting with him as well. So stay tuned. A lot more to come this morning. We'll be right back. Yeah, I know it's the wrong music. Shane and I were talking offline, and all of a sudden, I said I don't have the Brooke Foster weather to kind of clue me in as to when to do this. So
background.
Yeah. So I should have been playing Boys Are Back in Town, and I apologize for that. So, but hey, it's Friday. Maybe I got an excuse. I don't know. But
That's right.
We'll see. Anyway. I wanted to, before we get to the 5 things you need to know, last night Howard Schultz of Starbucks was on with Brett Baer and Martha McCallum on Fox News, did a town hall. Next week they're going to do Bernie Sanders on the 15th.
That'll be great. We
got to watch that one. Yeah, with I can't believe Bernie would go anywhere near Fox News, but
exactly.
I guess.
What was impressive about this town hall meeting last night was the questions.
Yeah.
They asked real questions.
Yeah. Well, there was a couple they left out that I would.
Well, no, there were.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying there weren't any softball questions, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, most of the questions were pretty, good. They were asking about income taxes, and he said, I don't have any problem releasing my income taxes. And, I got to thinking about that. The question I would have asked, and he was talking about that he didn't like the tax cuts, particularly the corporate tax cuts. He wanted 26 or 28% on corporations. And I'm not sure how that makes you competitive with the rest of the world. They were paying way less than that. But maybe he's got a secret plan that I don't know about. And of course, he said the rich should pay more than they're not paying their fair share. And my first question to him would be, how much more did you pay on your taxes than you owed?
That's right.
Give me the number of how much bigger did you write the check for? And, the reason most of us don't write a check for more than we owe on income tax is because the government screws with our money so badly. Why would we send them more? They screw up what we send them anyway.
And he's a great example of the American dream. I mean, Starbucks, March 31st, 1971, it's 48 years ago. Mm-hmm. Jerry Baldwin and Zeb Ziegel, Gordon Boker started it in Seattle. 28,218 locations now worldwide. Worldwide, not just in North America. I mean, they're worldwide. 238,000 employees. And as he said last night, in the 38 years that Starbucks been around, they've employed 3 million people. Go figure. And this guy started at the bottom and ended up CEO and now, retires as a billionaire because he built the company. Operating income, $4.1 billion. I mean, this is a wonderful story. Wonderful story.
Yeah, it is. And of course, he is a liberal, no question.
No question.
Yeah, he's pretty liberal. Although, some of the things that I didn't like, he thought we should have stayed in the Iran deal. He thought we should have stayed in the Pacific Trans-Pacific Partnership. I didn't agree with that. Those two things. He seemed to think the 19 countries in the Trans-Pacific Partnership would all work together and defeat China. Fat chance of that happening. I was going to say, if anything, they join with China over us.
That's right. The only thing, as you and I have talked about, the only thing that's going to defeat China is population demographics. People just don't want to talk about it because within the next 50 years, there's going to be less than 400 million Chinese.
Their one-child policy really hurt them. In that, they've got a very senior population right now, and no way to take care of them. And I'm not sure that they even worry about taking care of them. Generally, in the Asian culture, the family, the younger people take care of the older people. So the government says, hey, more power to you. Go ahead.
Yes.
The one kid can take care of two parents. Go for it.
It's called tradition, right?
All three of you can starve together. It'll be
anyway,
great.
Having said that, the interesting thing about it is that if he runs as an independent, which he shouldn't because he'll lose, and he'll just take votes away from the Democratic nominee.
It's the Democrat nominee, not the Democratic nominee. I just want to correct you there. Democrat. The demo
party
candidate. The demo party. Yeah.
The demolition party. Yeah. Anyway, having said that, he'll take. But I will make this observation: if he doesn't run, and Biden steps aside, don't be surprised if Bloomberg comes back.
Ooh, that's an interesting proposition. Yeah. Bloomberg's got the money to run for it, so certainly he can finance it. He can finance it pretty well. So that would be an interesting thing. I wonder if he's staying out because of that. Is he waiting for Biden to make a choice? You think, and he's going to jump in at the end if Biden doesn't do it and Bernie falters? Maybe
who better to go up against Trump in debates than the ex-mayor of New York
City? Yeah,
and a billionaire.
Yep. Billionaire versus billionaire. So there you are. Why not?
Sounds like Rome to me, Thomas.
Sounds good to me. Well, yeah, there was a couple other things, I guess, he and I parted company on. One is, of course, increasing your taxes. He didn't like the tax cuts, of course, and I think getting out of the Iran thing was smart. I think getting out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership was smart. And, he doesn't like the tariffs, but I think the tariffs, although, they do hurt Americans, certainly, but how else? What's your alternative? Back to an imbalance of trade that's off the charts? Is that the alternative you want? You lived with that.
And look what it did to your country.
Yeah, look what it did to your country. Everything you buy is from China. There's no American-made companies. People are fleeing overseas, or they were.
Yes.
Until Trump came along and started bringing some of these companies back and keeping some of the car companies here and whatever. And which do you want? Do you want Americans not making anything and everything come from China or Malaysia or Indonesia or Vietnam?
Well, and the next 2 years for the Trump administration, that's key economically, isn't just the major industries he's brought back and manufacturing jobs, all fantastic. But what it is going to be is the 62% of the employed people in your country work for companies with less than 500 people. And if small and medium-sized businesses start flourishing in your country, and that growth starts to accelerate, it's slam dunk for them.
Yeah, well, I think so too. And also, those companies will be in a position to offer health insurance, and we don't have to go to the Medicaid for all, which I think is a terrible idea, simply because you don't have any competition.
Well, yeah, especially with the Affordable Act, the ACA, the American Care Act. They keep talking about it on the left, but they sort of leave out this one big number that even while it's been around, there's still 26 million people that aren't on it.
Yeah.
Or that are without insurance, right?
Yeah. And so why would that be? Why is that?
Because it doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, there's
only 12 million people on it.
Well, but there's also no penalty for not getting on it, which there was. So I wonder how many of the people who aren't insured are not insured by choice. They might be younger people. They might be healthy people. They may be who knows what. They may be all the joggers you see running up and down the street, 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't know.
The Democrats know they can't get the single payer with 170 million people on insurance already.
No.
And that's why all these people like Kamala Harris and everything, let's get rid of the medical insurance companies or whatever.
Yeah.
They want to go to single payer, and they can't do it unless they force those people out.
Yeah.
It's a bad deal, folks.
Deal. Are you going to see the VA on steroids then? Is that what you're going to see?
That's what you're going to see, baby.
Well, and what then? What we don't have an ACA near you, so you'll have to go to another hospital and bill them.
Or if you can change your sex, you can declare yourself a veteran and go to free choice.
Well, the other thing too, I don't think you can force, hospitals. There are doctors that won't take Medicare.
That's right.
And there's, I don't think there's any hospitals that won't take Medicare, but there are certainly doctors that can't afford to take too many Medicare patients.
That's right. And what about the $500 million to $1 billion, which is small, in corruption and theft, in these government agencies you've heard about for 30 years and still nothing's been done.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we're great at bringing up programs. We suck at policing those programs.
Yeah.
We really do, because there's no money for it. We put all the money into the program and there's no money to police anything. So that's why we're having a problem at the border, is that, when things escalate, when there's a national emergency, which I think even the left admits is going on now down there.
Oh, it's falsely created. Come on, Tom.
Well, I'm sure it is. But anyway, I don't know. Which reminds me, what happened to the national emergency? Where's the money? Where's the engineers? Where's the wall? What's going on?
When is it going to start happening? Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on. That's all we heard about for, I'm going to declare a national emergency. And, okay, he did. Where are the court battles? Where's the, where's the money? Where's the wall? What's going on?
Well, yeah, it's one of those amazing things. And just because we're talking about this real quick, I'd like to bring this up for our listeners. The whole reason we have this issue, with the Mexican border, is because of Manifest Destiny, which began back, with the purchase of the Louisiana Purchase under Jefferson for $15 million. What a buy. And then President Polk got involved in the Spanish-American War. Well, the result of that war that only lasted 2 years, from 1843 to 1845, was that the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848. Well, Mexico lost more than 2.5 million square kilometers, 1 million square miles, or 55% of its land mass to the U.S. in that war. So we're talking about California, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Nevada, Colorado, Wyoming, Kansas, and parts of Oklahoma became part of the United States, including Texas, which, became a part of the United States. So there you go, folks. This is why I have a problem with the Mexicans. They want half their country back.
Well, they do. Well, that's certainly part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, too, in news, the president caved on his stopping the border, closing the border.
That's right.
And came up with this lame year-long test for Mexico to put the kibosh on their cartels, which they're in bed with. I mean, what are they going to do? Go down there and say,
that's
Hail Chapo. Can you slow down a little bit till we get this year out of the way?
Well, it's one of those hard things. The new president of Mexico, he's a socialist, but he's one of the first presidents that's not part of the NAP, which has run Mexico, for 100 years. And I don't think Obrador, the new president, wants to create a Venezuela in his country. And that's, look at the peso, right? We talk about 13-1 right now.
Oh, yeah.
So they're heading there if they get this wrong with the U.S. So, I don't think they want to challenge Trump because they know he'll pull a trigger if he says he will.
Well, I don't know. He didn't pull the trigger on closing the border. And that is something that I think to the Mexicans make him appear a little weak, that there's a crack in the armor there a little bit. If he's not, that somebody's advising him, hey, you can't close the border because it'd be economic. We won't have enough avocados for California movie stars, for their guacamole. And, we got the Final Four coming up this weekend. So you got to have dip.
Monday night, baby.
Got to have dip, so come on. And, that disappoints me a little bit. The two things, where's the wall? We got a national emergency. What's going on? Where's the money? What's,
well,
how come they're not breaking ground? And the other one is that if you say you're going to close the border, then close the border.
Well, he's going down to Southern California today to show the American people what's been done there and the work that's been done to put up new wall and fix the old walls. So that's a positive thing. But
well, what are you gonna see on TV? Maybe a mile or a half mile of wall? Come on.
Oh, that's great. I love it.
You see rabbits hopping through it or something, or
yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, that's not a good thing for the people south of that wall because that's lunch.
Well, whatever. We got to take a quick break. We're back in 2 minutes. Hang on. All right, 21 minutes after the top of the hour. It is Friday, April 7th, 2019, 39 degrees outside, actually. We're looking for a high of around 49 today, so hopefully that'll happen. And coming up at 8 o'clock, Tim Fox will join us on the Newsmaker line. Jennifer is taking the day off today, so we're going to be talking with Attorney General Tim Fox about all these robocalls that everybody keeps getting with the 406 numbers and all of that all that stuff on them. So we want to find out what's happening with that. I think two senators have introduced legislation. Thune, whatever his name is.
Thune
from
Dakota,
from Dakota,
South Dakota,
South Dakota, I think, and Markey from the Democrat side is doing it too. So anyway, let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the air. What's up?
Well, good morning.
Morning. You're early.
Wow. Yeah. A little bit. You know, this deal he's trying to, get the Mexicans to stop, and the Mexican government doesn't run Mexico. The cartels run it.
Well, that's the whole point. That's what I'm saying. Why give them a year? Who cares?
Yeah, why give them anything?
Well, that too.
And the people, I think that exacerbates the problem is you got a bunch of people from San Francisco and Seattle and L.A. that are saying we have a homeless problem, and they don't have a homeless problem. They got a drug problem. Period.
Mm-hmm. And an immigration problem.
Well, it's drugs. It's dope. And, if we make it easy, if we give them free needles, and if we give them this, and give them a place to do it, well, look what's going on. You can't walk down the street. And I was talking to my wife last night, in fact, and I said, you know what? I said, these people and drug urchins on the street, I said, people are going to start whacking them. And
yeah, well, remember what prohibition of liquor did to your country, 100 years ago. It created the Costa Nostra and all kinds of illegality. One of the things about history is, if you don't pay attention, you repeat yourself. And so you've done the same thing with drugs in your country because there's a demand for it. That's the problem. How do you get rid of the demand for it? What's your solution to that? How do you stop the demand?
Well, I don't know that you can stop the demand, but
like liquor, you couldn't.
Yeah, right, and it'll be hard to stop them from coming in. But and you got drugs that are manufactured here also. It's not that they're all coming across the border. They're making them right. Hell, they make meth in Montana.
Yeah, but the only way you got rid of the liquor crime was you legalized it again because it came in anyway. And, there's a lot of thought that should be put behind this and discussion about, monitoring and legalizing some drugs that are demanded by the American people so they're not brought in illegally. And then then the cartels collapse because they, if it's sold cheaper in the U.S. and monitored in some manufacturing. I'm only putting ideas out there. I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying look at history and what's happened. Don't let it repeat itself. Well, you're letting it repeat itself, so there you go.
Well, my take on that, Gene, is the opioid problem in this country was started by the pharmaceutical companies. They started it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They said, the pill mills, Congress told the DEA to lay off the pill mills because it was hurting the bottom line of the pharmaceutical companies. Well, okay, and so what happens? Exactly what they planned to happen happened. The OxyContin was too expensive, and then they started bringing the opium into the drug into the country, way cheaper, or the meth, or you name it. And
well, if you have a responsible government, like 2 days ago, I think, Tom, we talked about monopolies, right? And the laws in 1885 that stopped monopolies. So if you have a responsible government, they'll legislate responsibly to manage a problem they know they have and they know it exists. So they have to manage it, and they're not.
But they don't. They don't. That's the issue.
No, and they don't because they're getting their pockets lined by the pharmaceuticals to start it. And
here's a great talk.
Drugs to push it off.
So here's a great talking point your president should pick up, and that is the problem of drugs in the United States is the Democrats, okay? Just like, abortion. They're killing Americans because they won't properly legislate laws to start, to deal, not to persecute people that demand it. You can't We know the numbers on alcoholism in your country and the loss of work hours and all the other things. The studies have been done for almost 100 years. So do something responsibly. Blame the Democrats for these people regarding, drug consumption and their failure to properly legislate it and monitor it. Great talking point, I think.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. Look what happened in Portugal. They legalized everything, and crime went down.
Yeah, there's examples around the world.
Drug use went down.
Well, but they're also a homogenous nation as well.
Exactly, and that's what
we have another caller, Carl.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That we should be a little more homogenous than we are, I think, and that's what this is the whole thing with immigration. They don't want us to be homogenous.
Yeah, well, they don't.
That's right. There you go.
So,
hey, thanks, Pete.
You bet.
All right, take it easy. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox. What's up?
I'm off the road now.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Now, this one gentleman from Canada is saying, well, it's all because history repeats itself.
Yeah.
This is very true. It does. But when you look at the American society and the American people, we are a bunch of weak people. I come from the era of the 60s. I was in Vietnam. I had the perfect opportunity to come back and be a loser. But I picked up my boot heels and I said, no. I do not drink. I do not smoke. I do not do drugs. I go to work and I raise my family. I live the Army values. This is what has been taught to me. This is what needs to be taught to the American public. We need to stand up. We need to put our foot down. We need to tell the politicians, you do not work. I do not work for you. You work for me. And we don't do that. True?
Absolutely. We don't.
Okay, so you're in your radio show, cut the horse crap and tell the people, stand up, be proud, and tell this guy from Canada to mind his own business.
Okay.
I got to get to work.
All right. Thanks for the call. All right. Mind your own business, Shane.
Okay.
From our text line, let's see. I find it interesting that the media has no problem with Obama when he called for stronger border security, but now they make Trump seem like a criminal for doing the same thing. Lame exactly describes Trump, but also describes anyone who believes anything he says. Well, you have to believe some of the things he says. How is it that an individual that benefited from our economic system be a Democrat, which is a party that seeks to repress the very economic system? And I would agree with that. It's really hard for me to understand how anybody can be a success in business and still be a Democrat.
There you go.
That doesn't work. All right, we got to duck out here, pay a couple bills. Fox News at the bottom of the hour. I don't think we got any Montana State news. Nope. So it's going to be a pretty short break. So we'll be right back. 27 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Friday, April 5th, 2019, and 39 degrees outside. Looking for a high of around 49 degrees. And, we got a lot of texts we got to catch up on here, Shane. Let's see. For the 1 billionth time, Mexico doesn't pay a penny in tariffs Americans do. Someone explain this to the President of the United States. Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that any increase in prices, if Mexico imports cars and Trump puts 25% tariff on them, if Americans want to buy those cars, they're going to pay for them.
Well, and not only that, but if he wants to slam Mexico, stop the remittance of U.S. money to Mexico from illegal immigrants in the U.S., and you will see overnight they will not let anyone bother the U.S. border. But that's my thought.
Okay, from our text line, 478-8298, President Bone Spurs caved on closing the border. We'll give Mexico a year to stop the drugs. Give us 2 years to fix Medicare, or health care, I should say, not Medicare. And let's see, tariffs are paid by Americans. Trade deficits are a sign of a strong dollar. U.S. service base now, not manufacturing. Who wants to work on an assembly line? Well, I'd still like to have stuff made in America.
And
haven't made overseas.
Right. Americans don't pay tariffs unless the country being charged the tariff raises the prices of their products. And that's not happening. The tariffs that the U.S. collects come from the country they put the tariffs on. So I'm just straightening that point out.
Right. Okay. And from our text line, 478-8298, just checking this morning, are we still safe from windmill cancer? I think we are. I think Yeah. Well, it depends on how far you live from a windmill, I guess. So
unless you're a bird.
Well, you got to be careful. Yeah. I still don't believe windmills are a threat to birds.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. Massive.
Well, I spoke
100 million a year.
I spoke at the Wind Museum in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And the person there said they had never, in all their time there, ever found a dead bird at the bottom of a windmill.
Well, then they haven't been out to them recently. You go to any of them, go for a walk in any of them, get out of your car in California and go walk amongst those windmills and see all the carcasses of birds underneath them. You'll see a lot.
Well, I think scavengers will come along and take them away, but anyway.
Hey, look, oil companies get slammed $75,000 per bird that gets, covered in oil from an oil spill. So, let's put this in proportion, right?
All right. World average corporate tax rate is 23%. U.S. is now 21%. How much of a break did the Trump organization get? Well, they got 15%. Is what they got. Right. Say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty good percentage, I would say. So yeah,
and it's working.
Well, yeah, and I was looking up the tax rates of the various countries around the world, and let me see if let's see. Yeah.
Well, while you're looking at that, I'd like to remind people in Canada, our Canadian pension that we get taxed on. So I can't imagine a country with people making $6 a day charging them taxes, but they probably do. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah. Let's see. From our text line, I would like to know why the windmills between Bozeman and Livingston are never, ever running. Well, I don't know. I guess maybe there's no wind in Livingston. maybe that's changed. People are creative. Some remittances to Mexico, and they will find another way. Bitcoin, PayPal, Apple Pay. Just find employers who draw them here. And I would agree with that. I think one of the things is that we don't enforce the E9 or I-9 things, whatever. So let's see. We got some more texts here we need to get to. Let's see. Good morning, Tom and Shane. Just got into work and tried to stream, and there you are. Welcome back. All right, I'm excited. We are excited to be back. Thanks very much for listening, and glad you're able to stream us in there. Most of the corporate tax cuts went to buy back stock and added $2 trillion in debt. Well, I don't know, if you buy stock, it seems to me like that's a surplus, not a debt. But
it's equity, baby.
Yeah, like I say, actually, if you want to look at the deficit or look at the debt, it's a surplus mostly. So
that's correct.
Yeah. 20 years ago, the rule of thumb was you could find grizzlies south of I-90. Not anymore. You can find them anywhere. We'll agree with that. We were talking about grizzlies earlier in the program. Let's see. Policy instead of politics. How do we get to that discussion? I think that was from yesterday. I think that pretty well cleans up our text line for the moment. And we appreciate all you guys out there texting us and letting us know and that you're out there. And let's see. The history review every day is a great idea, Shane. The history review every day is a great idea.
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
There we go. Yeah, so we'll may keep that around. Let's see. Okay, I thought you could only listen live. Seems like I always get stuck in a truck at work with no AM radio. Well, you're going to have to go out and buy a little transistor and put it by your desk, I guess. So
that's right.
Let's see. I wonder if the last caller, obviously, we did that the other day. So never mind. I'm sorry. That was one that I didn't delete. So let's take some phone calls, see what's going on. We still got to get to the 5 things you need to know today. Caller, you are on the air. What's up?
Well, I hope you get to those 5 things. Otherwise, I'm going to be lost today.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to know the 5 things, right?
you guys get us going on this stuff. You can't, I haven't been able to stream all week. So I've been lost.
Whoa, holy smokes. Yeah.
Man, I got to go sit my car to listen, you know.
Oh.
Okay, so
yeah.
So I'm kind of, you know, got to quit talking about the amount of taxes everybody pays. How, you know, that's not the problem. Okay, our problem in this country is that our government is spending us into oblivion. Okay, it's not, you know, it's, we all run our own household. You know, we know what it takes. I mean, this isn't rocket science, so to speak. I know it's on a much grander level than our own household, but the spending is our problem.
Well, I agree. Both parties are certainly guilty of overspending. That's for sure.
I'm not. I would never, you know, try to nail that down to one party or the other. I know there's ebb and flow on who's in charge. Got the checkbook, you know, but they all do it. I mean, it's ridiculous, you know, what they're doing to this country, and it's I don't know how do we get past that? How do we get politicians in there that understand this stuff?
Well, the biggest problem is that we have elections every 2 years, and by spending money and buying votes is the way it's done today. You know, unfortunately, that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. Yeah, if I'm gonna get free stuff, why would I not vote for you back in office? You know, I mean, but it doesn't make sense.
Well, and off the subject here, I think our mascot for the high school should be the Bearcat.
The Bearcat. All right, I like the Bearcats. I like the Bearcats. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's this extravagant. I don't know. You know, the Bearcat we used to have. I don't know if we even have one at the county anymore. But you know,
well, city still has theirs. So,
well, okay, but nobody ever sees it.
No,
you know, they're supposed to have it, but nobody knows where it's at. But
well, I will tell you, we have not had a single riot in Bozeman since we got it.
Well, I've lived here all 57 years of my life, and I've yet to see a riot.
Well, it was the threat of getting a Bearcat that stopped the riots.
Well, maybe when Bobcats won the football title, it was close to a riot. It wasn't really a riot. It was a big party, you know. All right. Anyways.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call.
Tom, you're sounding a little cynical today. Just what can we all do to get your chin up?
I don't know. And well, it's Friday. I'm happy about that.
Well, there you go.
All right. Hey,
go put your toes in the sand.
Okay, we'll do.
All right.
Hey, thanks for the call. All right. There you go. Yeah, let him double dip. I know. The Canadian does not need to butt out. One call per day. Just keep driving. So.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, American expressions are important, and the biggest one politically is "bring home the bacon."
That's true.
And Mercedes C.K. Etano, a poet, is the one who created that quote. So there you go.
Oh, bring home the bacon. Okay.
Yeah. The poem is: "We had a pact, thought it was not made with blood, is still in my heart. Do you remember? I doubt you do, and I hope you don't. So I can have no reason to cry for us, brother, other than to bring home the bacon."
Well, okay. That makes absolutely no sense to anyone other than her. All right, well, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back, and we'll have no breaks till the top of the hour, so that'll be pretty good. So hang on. We'll be right back. 13 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Friday, April 5th, 2019, 39 degrees outside. Looking for a high in the upper 40s today, Shane. And we'll do the 5 things you need to know in 15 minutes, I guess, because we got Tim Fox coming in. Let's take a phone call before we do that, though. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hey, I want to know from that Canadian when the Governor General was going to prorogate the Parliament at the command of the Queen, because you're just a colony up there. You're not a country.
There you are. You're a colony, Shane. You're not a country at all. The Queen calls the shots, so you might as well just admit it outright.
Oh, I guess so, yeah.
She'll tell her governor general to prorogate your parliament whenever she pleases.
There you are.
You do what she says. She runs the show up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure she does.
No problem.
Yeah, look up prorogation.
Okay, look it up, Shane.
Okay.
All right. Hey, thanks for the call. The DOJ defends Barr's handling of the Mueller report. So I guess Rosenstein, kind of the head guy there. Well, Barr now, since he's been confirmed, but Rosenstein ran it through the operation there. So it seems like the one thing they are wondering about, though, is obstruction of justice, because every page of the report could contain confidential grand jury information. So not sure how they're going to get this thing to the folks in the Congress.
Well, an amazing thing, the New York Times writes this article about these investigators who have said that, that Barr wasn't completely forthcoming. Mm-hmm. Now, here we go again, folks, not referencing anybody by name. And these are the same investigators that didn't say anything while Barr was doing the job, right? There were no leaks.
Mueller.
But, Mueller, thank you.
Yeah.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Anyway, but the point is, once again, a story comes out of the New York Times claiming one of these investigators, or several of them, spoke to them and told them that it's not being dealt properly. And no names, though. So, back to fake news. Here we go again, right?
Absolutely. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Call you on the air. What's going on?
Hey, morning, Tom.
Hey.
Joe Biden called.
Okay.
He said, there's something going on in Washington. He can not only smell it, but he can also feel and touch it.
All right. Good for him.
And Shane, just shut up. Enough out of you, okay, you Canadian, you. I was going to say something off color there, but, big dog, I guess you got to go with the flow, huh?
Well, what can you...
with the righteous eagle, man. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I just wonder if anybody's if they've listened to you for a while.
Yeah.
The things you have to say are substantive, they're factual. Who cares? I look at you as our Canadian brother from another mother. So, the way I look at it, you have so much insight and, your discernment that few people have. Your comments are well appreciated. Obviously not by everyone, though, because otherwise they wouldn't have made that comment, But listening to that guy speak, he made some good points. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
He did make some good points,
yeah. That's great, and that's exactly how I feel. But, we can get too self-righteous with that because there's only one that was perfect, and you know what they did to him 2,000 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
So and I wanted to comment on just one thing he said, even though substantively I agree with a lot of what he said. He was, I think, commenting on an earlier call, shut off the tube, and I'm like, my God, ignorance is bliss, I guess. You don't. And I'm like, my God, you don't have to watch the TV, but for 5 minutes. They're bashing Trump, I don't even watch TV except for the news and occasional sports program, but I do research a lot of things on the internet, and it's all over the place. It's unavoidable, And I guess all I got to say that, Nero fiddled while Rome burned, and he likes, I guess, colloquialisms and sayings and quotes. But we're burning right now in America. It's not time for games. You got to know. I look at the Democrats as our adversary, unfortunately. But, and the only other comment I'd like to make is, we need more luck will less. You need solidarity. You got to, I don't like everything Trump does either. He's not perfect. He's got some character flaws I don't like. However, I always remind myself, look at the alternative. Look at what else is offered. Rampant socialism that would take this country down a path where we would never recover, the former greatness that we had. And a lot of people disagree with that. They say we're never a great country. Well, I wholeheartedly disagree. And socialism has never worked anywhere in the world. It's only brought pain and suffering and heartache. If that's our option, I'm for Trump all the way. That's all I got to say.
All right, from our text line, here. All right, thanks for the call. Also from our text line, of course the Queen controls Canada. That's why her beaver is still on the nickel.
Whoa.
There you go. Well, there you are. So, well, getting back to the 5 things, if we can get through them. Michael Cohen seems to have found a hard drive with all kinds of stuff on it that's going to end... oh my gosh, we didn't subpoena enough of Cohen's hard drives, I guess. So he just found one laying around somewhere. It was probably behind the Bisquick in the counter, in the cabinet. I just didn't realize he had it. And so now he says Lanny Davis and his other attorneys say, "You've got this hard drive with substantial files on it. Oh my God. What will we ever do?" So I guess we'll find out.
Reminds me of that Christmas poem, "Up in the Attic." Tick, tick, tick.
Right,
That's where he found it.
That's where he found it. Yeah. Well, he's going to prison on May 6th, so I guess they better get it to him before then, and maybe maybe this is a threat to unveil threat to Trump to pardon me, or I'm going to release this thing. So there you are. And Boeing accepts responsibility for the 737 MAX software that downed 2 planes. So they're taking responsibility for that, and kudos, as they should. They should take responsibility for it. And I think there's going to be a lot of lawsuits of the passengers against Boeing, and that's going to be quite a lengthy process for them to get out of this. The 737s are still on the ground, as far as I know. I don't think any of them are flying. If you're concerned about, if you're going to be flying somewhere in the next week or so, or a few days, Delta has no 737 MAXs at all in their fleet. So if you want to fly Delta, no matter where you go, you won't be on a 737 if they reinstate them into service again. So. Let's see. From our text line, "I don't want to be a commie. I like my dog, and I don't want to eat him." Okay, I guess that'll work. I guess that's a good one. Let's see. Trump reportedly plans to nominate Herman Cain to the Fed. What do you think about that? Herman Cain being on the Federal Reserve Board.
Well, he's a capable and successful CEO. Mm-hmm. He built one of the biggest pizza companies in the country. Yep. Why not? He knows how to build a company and solve problems.
Yeah. Well, he knows how money works. I would think, and he previously directed the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City and has supported higher interest rates, which Trump has criticized as damaging to the economy. His most famous policy was his 999 tax plan, right. Which was a 9% flat tax rate and whatever. So it'll be interesting to see. His confirmation should be kind of interesting to see if they have to.
Yeah, that's right.
Go through there. And finally, wrapping up our 5 things you need to know today, Captain Marvel is the first woman-directed live-action movie to gross $1 billion. Shane, $1 billion out there. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's pretty big bucks. But yeah, it was co-directed by Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck. Like Lee, Bowden directed Captain Marvel alongside Ryan Fleck, and she was the first woman to direct a film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And, of course, that cinematic universe has produced a lot of stuff, man. A lot. Superheroes and money. Lots of money, yeah. Probably eventually be more successful than the Star Wars franchise, so...
Well, when Disney bought the franchise for $4 billion, all the analysts said, "Oh, will this work out?" Has it ever worked out?
It's worked out pretty well, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say for both of them, yeah. So anyway, yeah, more than $1 billion worldwide live action film, and yeah, it hit $1 billion as of Wednesday night. One of just 38 films to do so. So there you are. That's pretty good. Pretty good company to be in, I guess.
Yeah, it was amazing because the opening night, people were selling tickets they'd bought, in advance of it.
Mm-hmm.
They were actually trying to sell them online for $5,000.
Oh, scalping them? Yeah.
Yeah, scalping them.
Ouch.
A theater ticket.
Well, I don't know if I want to see it that bad.
All right.
It was just like waiting in line at the Apple store to be one of the first ones to get a phone.
Yes, exactly. Remember?
I think I can wait a couple of days and just walk in and get one.
Wait! Remember the lines around the
block?
The electric car. He came out.
The Tesla.
He came out. Yeah, the Tesla, and he came out with that SUV for $35,000. And remember? Around they put money up to wait 3 years.
Yeah, he couldn't fulfill the demand, and just went to court yesterday, I guess, with his tweets about what he was going to do and what he wasn't going to do. So, what can I tell you? So, well, we have got to duck out of here. We have got to pay some bills and do some other stuff. We've got Tim Fox is going to join us at the 8 o'clock hour. Jennifer Bordy is off today, so we'll be talking with Tim Fox when we come back, and we'll be talking about robocalls with him. He and some other attorney generals are finally going up after Congress, and we'll find out what's going on with that. But we're sick of getting these calls from 406 area code like they're our friends and family, and there's some scam to, All right, so stay tuned. We'll be doing that when we come back. So we got a lot to go yet, and open lines in this hour. Jennifer Bordy is taking the day off, so we'll be back with more after this. 3 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock, it's Friday, April 5th, 2019, 41 degrees outside. Looking for a high of around 49 degrees this afternoon. And Shane Talman on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. My co-host, half man, half amazing. Tom Eaglehoff, your morning mayor in the house. And we've got Attorney General Tim Fox is on our newsmaker line. Tim, thanks so much for joining us today. Appreciate it very much.
Well, thanks for having me on, and good morning to your listeners.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We wanted to talk to you, of course, about robocalls. We're all getting them. They got the 406 number like there's some local guy. And I told your Anastasia, your right-hand gal, that I was. We were going to try to see if we could get a hold of one maybe while you're on the line, but she said, no, let's not do that. So we're going to do that on Monday without you. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I get these too, Tom.
I bet you do, yeah.
And when it's a live caller, the call seems to end when I say, you've reached the Attorney General and top consumer protection guy.
I was going to say.
They usually hang up.
I was going to say, obviously, when we call them, we have to tell them they're being recorded and they're on radio. We can't deceive them.
Well, this really isn't, here we can laugh about it, but, the last year that we have national figures for the amount of losses that consumers in America had, it was over $290 million. And there's a think tank that watches this as well, and they estimate that about $9.5 billion is what the cost was to the U.S. economy in 2017. And then just recently, the numbers for 2008 came out, and both the FCC and the FTC are the federal watchdogs on these issues. And they estimate there were about 48 billion illegal robocalls made in 2018. So pretty much all of us get them. They're annoying, but they're also, many of them are criminal.
Well, I think so, because they're scams for the most part. I think most people would agree with that. Whether they're trying to sell you aluminum siding or, that your Social Security's been compromised or whatever it is they've got for you.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like, as I understand, there's two congressmen, Thune and Markey, that have introduced legislation in the Congress. Is that being well received? Have you heard or anything on that?
Yeah, so you're talking about the Telephone Robocall Abuse Criminal Enforcement and Deterrence Act, which they have shortened to TRACED Act.
Okay.
And yeah, so I couldn't tell you today where that's at, but I have written with all of the other state attorneys general. I've written a letter last month to the Senate asking them to pass the TRACED Act, and it does a number of things to help this issue. It gives the government some teeth, and it allows the telephone providers gives them some ability to stop these robocalls. And the legislation would require these voice service providers to participate in what they call call authentication, a framework to help block unwanted calls. And it creates an interagency working group that we believe hopefully will work with the state attorneys general to take additional actions to reduce robocalls and also to hold telemarketers and robocallers accountable. So this would be a huge step in the right direction. You know, there are things you can do, like getting onto the Do Not Call registry, which you can find online if you just Google National Do Not Call Registry. But even that, when you get on that, these illegal robocallers are circumventing that process as well, and even getting calls in to people who've put themselves on the Do Not Call list. So, you know, and I think there's always important things to remember if you get these robocalls. You know, basically the first one is hang up.
Right.
Yeah. Don't give any personal information. Certainly don't give any Social Security numbers, banking numbers, credit card numbers, you know, any of that kind of stuff online. And federal agencies like the IRS, it's important to remember they don't do business over the phone, and they don't do business over the email for that matter either.
Right.
And so, you know, if somebody purports to be with the IRS, and we see a lot of that during tax season, just hang up on them.
Yeah. Yeah, the IRS won't call you. Social Security won't call you. You know, government agencies, probably even the police department won't call you. They'll just show up at your door.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the other thing, too, is you point out, a lot of times they will ask you, you know, can you hear me okay? And they're trying to get you to record yes, the word yes. And then that way they can, you know, go somewhere else and, you know, have you agree to something and just play the recording of you saying yes, and you know, that get your compromise as well.
I was about to say yes, but then thought better of it.
Right? Yeah. You don't want. Yeah. Well, I just put myself out on the whole world saying yes, so I guess.
Yeah. Right.
I guess I'm screwed. So let's pass this. Hurry up.
The other thing that might be interesting for your listeners to know is that there are some robocall blocking apps that are out there for your mobile device. And there's an industry group called CTIA. They have a website. It's www.ctia.org, ctia.org. And there you can find information about these mobile apps that you can put on your mobile devices. That will help block these robocalls.
Yeah, because we use at my house we use Nomo Robo, NOMO Robo, and it does let calls through from the hospital or doctor's offices or, you know, legitimate calls, things like that. It doesn't do all that well against the 406 numbers, though, that the scammers have used. We got a call from Macy's that shows on our caller ID. You know, we got a call from Macy's that it's a robocaller. So,
yeah,
you know, I mean, and some people have reported, you know, they're getting calls from their own phone number. So, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, so the way they do that is there's what do I want to call it? A technology, if you will, called Voice over Internet Protocol.
Right.
Voice.
Yeah. VoIP. VoIP, I think it's called. Yeah.
Right. And they spoof legitimate area codes, so it may look like it's a 406 area code. Oftentimes they can spoof the name of a business or an organization that shows up on your caller ID. And again, usually there's high pressure tactics, and oftentimes it's a recording. It tells you to return the call or something like that. And best thing to do is just hang up.
Yeah, that's what as I was telling Anastasia, your assistant there, that we set up a text line when we had to make a change here, as you know, in the morning show, and so we set up this new text line, and about 2 weeks later, we got 3 of those robocalls. Your Social Security has been compromised, or you're wanted for something in Texas, or whatever, and. It just really surprised me that these voicemails would show up with, from this brand new number that we got. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it doesn't take long, and it's pretty easy to get the software to make these calls. And these criminals, all they really need is a computer, an internet connection, and this software, and they can cause a lot of harm. And so that's why this the Trace Act is, I think, something that's very important for your listeners to know. They should write to our congressional delegation and ask them to pass the Trace Act. And hopefully we'll get some teeth in the law and we can stop some of this.
Have you had any communication with Tester or Gianforte or Daines regarding this, Tim?
So we've notified them, yes, that of our support, and they have received copies of this letter from all of the attorneys general.
Okay. No negative feedback on it at all from anybody?
Not that I'm aware of. Nope. I think I'm pretty sure that all 3 of our congressional delegation will be supportive of this.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so, because it's a serious. It's a serious thing. The other thing I think I wanted to talk to you a little bit about was Obamacare. They're talking about getting rid of Obamacare. You indicated, I believe, if I'm correct, or correct me if I'm wrong, you're not in favor of doing that. But
no, that's not true, actually.
Okay.
So I've advocated that they should repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, and have taken that position from day one. And as you know, I've gotten involved in the litigation over the Hobby Lobby case,
right?
The Little Sisters of the Poor. Both of those were over the very controversial contraceptive mandate, and those we helped win those cases. And I stand with President Trump on his call to repeal and replace. Unfortunately, he's not had a lot of help from Congress. Congress has been, even when we had both the House and the Senate in the Republican hands, they were unable to get anything done.
Yeah.
And so I share in President Trump's frustration on that. He has certainly now, with the Democrats holding a majority in the House, it's unlikely that they're going to cooperate with him. They certainly have indicated all they're going to do is be obstructionists. If it's something that he wants, regardless of whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, they're going to oppose it. So in any event, Congress has got to do something. And, it's been 9 years since Obamacare was enacted. As I've said before, it's been a train wreck.
Yeah. And
we need to, get Congress off their duff, if you will, and they need to fix this. And we'll see. I don't know. Don't hold your breath, right?
Yeah. Well, I know the legislature has their hands full with Medicaid, too, trying to finance that as well here in our state.
Well, and an important thing to remember is that there's over 152,000 Montanans that these are non-elderly Montanans that rely on coverage for pre-existing conditions. And I agree with President Trump. Whatever the solution, ultimately we need to make sure that those with pre-existing conditions continue to have their health care coverage, and that's a position that I've taken as well. So, it's there's lots of debate, but ultimately it falls in Congress's lap to actually do something. This isn't a problem that President Trump created. It's a problem that the previous administration created, and Congress is the only one that can fix it.
Yeah. Is there any legal prevention of health insurance being sold across state lines? I can buy health insurance or house insurance across state lines, car insurance across state lines, life insurance. Is there is there something prohibitive about health insurance that we can't be more competitive in that area and sell policies across state lines?
Well, as I recall, that was another piece of the Affordable Care Act, was the what do I want to call it? The portability, if you will, of health insurance. And that, again, creates competition. It's a free market concept, obviously, that you should be able to shop around for the best deal in your health insurance. And those are all things. There's some good things that need to continue to be in our health care laws, like coverage for pre-existing conditions is, I think, one of the major ones. But we need free market concepts, things that will actually make our health care affordable, which Obamacare didn't do. And we need to also make sure that we can choose our doctors and that the federal government doesn't get into the middle of our doctor-patient relationship. So, again, I support President Trump on all of this, and Congress just needs to act.
Yeah. Also, I believe I read they shot down associations where like business people could get together, form an association, and buy health insurance that way, and they kind of shot that down somewhere. I don't know whether it was in the state or nationally, or I believe I read that somewhere. But
yeah, I'm not sure what you're getting at there, but
well, our Chamber of Commerce here used to offer health care to the members. And that was, for some reason, either deemed illegal or unconstitutional or something. I don't remember what it was, but anyway, they had to stop offering it. And I think that would be a way for people in Montana, particularly, you take Bozeman, for example, if a bunch of business owners could get together and buy health insurance as a block. I think that would help competition and ability to, provide it for your employees, because that's the big standing point here in Montana, because I think there's only one or two health care options for business owners in Montana.
Well, I guess, getting back to this whole idea of free market principles, anytime the government, federal government in particular, seems to get into these issues, they tend to have a top-down attitude. They tend to meddle in things that they shouldn't be involved in, and they create a lot of harm. And that's what the Affordable Care Act has done for many years. And while there's, like I said, the coverage for pre-existing conditions, that's a good thing. That's something that most people would agree we should have. But we need to go back. It's not we. The Congress needs to go back to the drawing board, quit being obstructionist to the president, and actually get something done. So.
All right. Well, Tim, we appreciate you being here. We went a little longer than I told you we were going to, but we appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully keep us up to date on that robocall situation. We're getting sick of that, so we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us this morning, and we wish you the best in your gubernatorial race, and happy to have you here.
Hey, thanks a lot, Tom. Thanks to your listeners. Everybody have a great weekend.
All right. Thanks so much. All right, Tim Fox, Attorney General of the state of Montana, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 3 minutes. 23 minutes after the hour, Friday, April 5th, 2019, 41 degrees outside. Shane Matobin on the line with me, half man, half amazing from Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagle off your morning mayor in the house. And thanks to Tim Fox for taking a few minutes with us. Didn't have much time for questions from our text line. We wanted to cover those two issues. So that's why we didn't go to the text line, and we apologize for that. Let's see, from our text line, instead of concentrating on insurance, how about addressing the cost of health care? Seems to me that insurance has been a main driver in the rise of health costs, and that could certainly, a case could be made for that, Shane, I think.
Well, in both our countries, you know, we have that same issue here, is the constant cost in caring, especially for the elderly, in both our countries. That's the major hit that both of our medical systems are taking right now because of the baby boomers and the great generation.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, too, is, you know, as we pointed out many times, you can't walk into can't go in the hospital and say, hey, I'd like to get an x-ray on my hand. How much will that be? How much will that cost? So, well, I can't tell you. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
nobody has any idea until it goes, you know, to the the person takes the x-ray, and then the person reads the x-ray, and then then they put their hours down or whatever, and it goes somewhere, and some magical formula throws out some kind of a cost. So that's the issue, and that's what the texture, I think, is referring to, is that we don't know. Something may cost $10 tomorrow and $100 the next day, or whatever.
It's an unknown cost.
Yeah. Let's see. Nowhere in the Constitution does it state that health care is a federal responsibility. Why replace Obamacare? Turning it over to the states and the free market makes more sense, and I would agree with that. I think government being in it, being on Medicare, I can tell you it's no picnic. You know. But
well, that's right, and it didn't help Romney when he ran against Obama. That you know, Obama kept hammering him. Well, we looked at you were the state that tried this first.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
How does Romney answer that comment?
Well, yeah. Well, it didn't work in our state either. So
yeah,
there you are.
That's what he said.
So. Let's see. Why did he file an amicus brief in the case against what other state attorney generals are trying to do in their case against Obamacare? And that's what I kind of hinted at when I asked him that question. And he said that he is on President Trump's side, repeal and replace. So, that's where he says he is. So I can't argue with him.
Well, the other thing that's important about an amicus brief is everyone that files one gets to speak to it. Mm-hmm. So, the reason all these state attorney generals, they either decide together that one guy gets up and speaks, like Ted Cruz was famous for that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They either decide on one person to speak for all of them, or they can speak individually.
Right, yeah.
And that's why so many file.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Also from our text line, 478-8298, been on the don't call list. They can't stop or they still come in nonstop. And I think it's, as Tim pointed out, the software and the spoofing of your number fools even the call blockers. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So
that's right.
All right, let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the air. What's going on?
Hey, guys. It's Kevin.
Kevin, how you doing, man? Good to see you the other day.
Yeah. It was nice chatting with you. So this pre-existing condition thing is I have an issue with it, or I have questions about it, because, I understand, obviously, we have to help people who have pre-existing conditions. You can't just be like, oh, well, bad genes, too bad. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, it's a payment system for their illness. It's not insurance.
Right.
We keep talking about insurance with pre-existing condition. Insurance isn't your house burnt down and then you file for, fire insurance. You pay for it, hoping that most likely your house won't burn down, which helps cover the cost of when someone's house does burn down. So it's not insurance. It's a government payment system, and what it's doing is it's not bringing down the cost of health care. When somebody else just pays the bill, the price just will keep going up and up and up. There's no free market in that. And that's why I think that, am I wrong? And that's why our healthcare is so out of control. We can go to all these restaurants in town, and there's all different price ranges, and they're all good. And if they're not good, they go out of business. But there's really expensive ones, and there's really cheaper ones. Mm-hmm. But that's a true free market system. There's no card that goes in and says, well, government's going to pay for my tab, so it doesn't matter how much you charge me for this hamburger.
Well, all you have to look at is that why are all the doctors at the hospital? Because they can't afford private practice, but yet optometrists have offices, dentists have offices, all these other dermatologists have offices. Right. So that's the issue right there. So, but I gotta go.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for the call, Kevin. All right, appreciate it. All right, we got to pay a couple of bills, and we'll be right back with more stuff right after the top of the hour here, or bottom of the hour, I should say. So stay tuned. No Jennifer today, so we'll have open lines for the half hour. Anything you guys want to talk about, we'll be here for you. 26 minutes for the top of the hour. We left Shane's mic on. Everybody heard one side of the conversation, so they didn't hear me giving the 8 words I'm not supposed to say, huh, Shane?
There you go. Well, time for a market wrap-up for those ones
go
hear
for
about
it.
their 401k. The Dow Jones is looking strong, up 38 points. Standard & Poor's 500 up 12. NASDAQ 100 up 35. Europe is looking pretty good, even with the Brexit issue. They're marginally up, so it's all basically green in Europe. And, of course, in Asia, it's looking green, too, because they're negotiating in China once again. So the Nike is up in Japan, and the Kospi is even up in South Korea. Commodity prices are looking strong again today. I'm not surprised. But the crude oil in the U.S. is $62 with a excess of 76 million gallons of oil in the country. Brent in Europe is 69. Natural gas, of course, 265. Gasoline, though, is peaking up at 194, looking at $2 here. Government bonds are slipping away again. The 30-year-old is down again, 287. The U.S. 10-year-old down to 249. And currencies, wow, look at this. The euro is holding in at 112, and the British pound is up to 130 against the U.S. dollar. Of course, our great Canadian dollar is holding in at 134. Come to Canada, spend some money, and have a good day.
Well, all right. Why not?
Yes, well, it's beautiful and cheap here in Canada now.
well, good. I hope so.
And the great thing, too, is a lot of you will find if you come to Canada, a lot of U.S. products, like Apple products, like the phone down there, I think, is priced at $1,200.
Yeah.
Well, it's priced at $1,200 Canadian. So you get even a better deal buying it up here than you would down there.
Yeah.
So, you should come up here for just that alone.
Well, I would. Sorry about that.
No problem.
I was trying to move something around, and it didn't work.
Well, the board hasn't worked for a week.
Well, that's true. It has. Yeah. I was supposed to flip that to, we just had a short 30-second break there, so I added that to the rush update, so we'll have a little more time to chat, because there's other things, there's other things we want to talk about. We've also got, who's the guy that nobody can pronounce his name that's doing the exploratory committee? The guy from Colorado. Beeswax or something like that. I don't know. No. The mayor from, what's that town? It's in Indiana, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway. Yeah, the Cambridge graduate, very smart, very well spoken. Yeah, he's their number one choice now for the media in your country. Yeah. And we can't even remember his name. Yeah. More importantly, no one can pronounce his name. Nobody can pronounce his name. Yeah, it's Biesielozy or something. Yeah, Bigowit or Bitowit or. It's like Olszewski. Finally learned how to pronounce that. So. Yeah, they'll have to hyphenate it on lawn signs so people can pronounce it. I guess. Yeah, I don't know, but. Well, anyway, what are we up to? We're about 16, 17, 18, even without Biden in there and without this other guy we can't pronounce. And 16 or 17, I think, that are thinking, and 12 that are declared, right? Yeah. So, I think it's more than that are declared. I think they've all declared. But, Biden hasn't. Schultz hasn't, although he probably will. But we'll see what happens with Biden and, where he goes with. That's right. Yeah, because he got a bunch more women coming to the forefront. So I don't know. The DNC might say, Joe, I think your time has passed, man. Yeah. Well, I think this is too much to overcome. Trump just had one All Access or ABC All Access. You've got a history of this. Yeah. Not that Trump didn't, but
with film.
Yeah. We got film and pictures of the whole thing. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's going to be quite a debate. I'm really looking forward to Fox doing Bernie on the 15th, April 15th, tax day.
Yeah. I don't think his staff thought about that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing they're talking about too, they keep talking about tax returns. They want 6 years of Trump's tax returns, and Schultz said something about, I don't have any problem with releasing my tax returns, and I got to thinking about that, Shane, because most of the stuff I think that the Senate or the House, I guess, Gerald Nadler.
Yes. Most
of the stuff he wants would be in the corporate return, not the personal return.
That's an interesting point because, it's well said, too. There's so much issue at how your president has gone about reinvigorating your economy. So, why would you want to challenge it? I mean, what's the old expression? If it works, don't fix it.
Well, their complaint is that he's benefiting from his own economy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, what, Congress isn't?
Of course they are.
Yeah, let me know how many millions AOC has when she leaves. I'm going to say, let's see what insider trading she does and what other things come up. But I was thinking about that the other day. You got Trump's personal tax return that's probably about 3 or 4 pages, and then you got a corporate return that's probably 6 feet tall. What do you? And do you really think Trump on his personal tax return put Kremlin hookers on there as a deduction?
Yeah, a business expense.
Right. Yeah, business expense. Well, in fact, I don't think you can put a business expense on there because I seriously doubt if he's an LL. Well, he might have some LLCs in there. I don't know. Probably, maybe some small ones that he could run through his personal return, or maybe a subchapter S here and there. But
I know that from his initial filings that he did, he's got 500 companies, right?
Oh,
the Chinese corporate law thing,
to
protect the large by just having individual companies with liabilities, right? So.
And as we pointed out ad nauseum, every year he has to present to the Senate Finance Committee all sources of income, all loans, all interest rates, all that stuff, and it's all public record.
Right.
Yeah. If you want to see it, send me an email, tom@kmmsam.com. I'll be happy to send you the link to it. And you can go through the 104 pages of his business dealings and see who he owes and to who and for what.
Exactly.
Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox. What's up?
Hey, this is Aaron. How you guys doing?
Good, Aaron. How are you?
Good. Say, so the House, apparently they have the ability to demand his tax returns, right?
I don't think they do. I don't think legally, because privacy, there's a 4th and 5th Amendment. You can't incriminate yourself.
That's right.
Right, but the law does state, or the regulation, the IRC says that, and this is because of the Teapot Dome scandal, is why they put this in there, that the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee or Finance, whatever committee of the House is demanding.
Yeah, there's 4 of them, actually. They're going after him, banking with Maxine and Elijah Cummings, Nadler, and the other guy.
So why is that law not relevant to the president then?
Well, it isn't. They're not reading the law as it's written. What the law says is not tax returns. It says tax information.
Oh.
So it doesn't specify a tax return in that 6E thing you're referring to. Yeah.
The form
that Pelosi pulled up. Yeah.
The 306F1 or 603F1, whatever it was.
Yeah,
exactly.
whatever it was.
Okay. Now, how does this look? I mean, you guys are older. A lot of the voters in this country are probably, hitting your age, a little more mature. How does this look as far as just the vindictiveness. I mean, does this look like, from your standpoint, well, as a Democrat or Republican, does this look like just a bunch of whiny schoolgirls?
Well, the more they go after Trump, the more of a victim he becomes in the eyes of his base, and the more solidified, he is. Plus, on the other side, you've got the Democrat Party going extremely left.
Right.
So, for the independents to choose between the lesser of two evils, which we usually have to choose between when we vote for president, which one is, which one is worse than the other one.
And as a Canadian, I'll just, because I don't have a dog in the fight, so I can say this. Your president outing the media for being fake news has been vindicated by that. So now every time all these networks come up with a new story against him, people tune it out because they go, look, you've lied to us for 2 years about this other story. Why do we want to listen to this news story that you want to talk about?
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, I just hope that, maybe Trump isn't as vindictive as they are, because, he didn't go after Hillary. He still hasn't gone after her as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not yet anyway. So, yeah.
I hope that the people of this country hold these Democrats accountable for this. This is an assault on my vote. Yeah. Is how I'm starting to take this.
Well, you've seen what happens when you don't get out and vote in the midterm election. You lost the House of Representatives, and you saw all the people in white at the State of the Union, and you've seen Alexandria Cortez sucking all the oxygen out of the room from the Democratic Party. And, the Omar going after the Jewish state. And,
right.
All of that, my advice to the Democrats, and I've said this probably every day this week, is get off Trump. If you want to beat him at the ballot box in 2020. Get on your candidates, get on your issues, get rid of this Mueller report, this impeachment crap, and get behind your candidates and make a case for us to vote for you.
Well, they're attacking their candidates. The whole Mueller investigation.
Well, they are.
The whole Mueller investigation was a Republican investigation. The whole attack on Biden, that's a Democrat. That's the mainstream Democrat left-wing media attacking him. Yeah. There's no conservatives or Republicans going after Joe Biden. They're going out. They're in total defense of all the socialists. The whole party has gone just absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Well, and Trump again was proven right. All these people say, "Oh, it's a manufactured crisis at the border." Well, it's pretty hard hard for anybody to make that case today.
Right now, Obama's guys are even out there saying, "No, this is
yes, he is exactly." Yeah, there you go.
So it's another. That's pretty much another win for Trump. And as we were talking earlier today, okay, we declared a national emergency. Where's the money? Where's the wall? What's going on?
Right.
Let's get that done. All right. Hey, thanks for the call.
The call.
All right. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll have the Rush update, and we'll finish out the hour. So hang in there. We'll be right back. Here's Rush. 6 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Friday, April 5th, 2019, 44 degrees outside. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor in the house. Shane Matauban, half man, half amazing in Vancouver, British Columbia. And, we're winding down here, Shane, to the
end of the week.
Top of the hour, end of the week. We're, been quite a week with all our technical issues and everything like that. Yesterday's program is up online, and today's will be up online here shortly. As soon as we get off the air, I'll start processing that and put it up online for anybody that missed it. And the other thing that I should point out, in 2016, before the election, as I mentioned, Donald Trump has to give the United States Office of Government Ethics and the financial disclosure report before he can get on the ballot. 104 pages in 2016, and then in 2017 it went down to 98. So he lost some income somewhere along the line, or paid something off, or what? I don't know. But anyway.
The Righteous Eagle man, you're right again. The bench for the Democrats is 17 people deep, and that was South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah.
And, everyone calls him Mayor Pete because he's 37.
Nobody can pronounce his name.
So Andrew Yang, I'm sure you know him.
Yeah, yep.
Let's see. I'll go through the ones that you don't know real quick, and then see. Oh, Tim Ryan from Ohio is running. Mm-hmm. And then let's see. We have, here's one. Miramar Mayor Wayne Messam from Florida, 44. I don't know. I don't know about him. Yeah. Jay Inslee, 68 from Washington. We know about him somewhat. This is the guy I think has got the best part, but Hickenlooper.
Right. Hickenlooper. That's right.
Yeah. Let's see. We know about Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, she's from Hawaii.
I'll vote for her because I'll tell you, of all the candidates, she's by far the best looking. I could look at her for 4 years. Democrat or not, but I don't want to look at Bernie for 4 years. I don't know that I want to look at Hickenlooper for 4 years.
Former Maryland Representative John Delaney. Guess he couldn't find another job. Yeah. Julian Castro, we know of.
Yeah.
And let's see, that's pretty much it. So so half of the people
nobody's ever heard of. We still don't have Tim Bullock in there yet.
I know. Yeah.
Or not Tim Bullock, whatever his name is. Governor Bullock. Yeah.
Governor Bullock. Governor Bullock.
Yeah, let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the air. What's going on?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
In the early 90s, I sold health insurance for the National Association for the Self-Employed.
Right.
And I don't know what happened to them, but I don't see any reason why businesses can't get together and do it again. I mean, all we've seen with the ACA, and I don't know why they call it the affordable health care. There's nothing affordable about it.
Yeah, well, that's true, yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest smokescreen robocall that, ever happened.
Yeah. Well, maybe I can get our Chamber of Commerce in here because they used to offer that, and I think the NFIB, the National Federation of Independent Businesses, I think they have some kind of a group insurance thing, but you may have to be an organization rather than just a group of people that get together and want to buy it as a block. You may have to form a nonprofit and jump through a bunch of hoops to make that happen. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it was done one time, and people, the people that were self-employed, they could choose what kind of deductible they wanted, and then how much coverage, whether it was a catastrophic or a hospital, they could add things to it.
Yeah.
And it didn't go up tremendously every year.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing. And, too, as I mentioned to Tim Fox when we were talking earlier, I think there's only one or two insurance companies that can offer insurance to businesses in Montana. Blue Cross Blue Shield, I think, is one of them, and I'm not sure who the other one is, but I want to say there's only one or two that you don't have any choice at all, particularly. Like you say, you can pick your deductible or pick your coverage, I guess, but yeah, it's really tough for a business to offer that perk to, attract good employees.
Well, I mean, you could set up with the NASCE. You could set up the whole company and their employees on it.
Right. Yeah. I remember that. And many businesses did that, and it was a great system. And why it went away, I don't know.
Well, it's because, I don't know. I knew people that had books of business, and then all of a sudden, overnight, their business that they've worked on for 20 years is gone.
Yeah, that's true. That's sad.
What disturbed me is that nobody said anything about it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It depends on when it went down and what the news of the day was, because otherwise it could be swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to go. Hey, thanks for the call, though. Thanks for the info. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening to us. Appreciate it. All right, we got to go, Shane. Bye-bye.
Yes, and thanks, everyone, for this week. I'm glad we're back full-time, full way. Everybody be happy and be safe.
All right. Thanks, Shane. All right. We'll see everybody bright and early Monday morning, 6 a.m. And, hey, have a great week. Hey, don't forget Kiddabaloo tomorrow at the Brick Breeding Field House, 10 to 3. Be sure and show up there with the kiddies. And lots of great acts and characters from all the superheroes will be there. All kinds of stuff. We'll see everybody bright and early, 6 a.m. on Monday.